Welcome back to the Eversio Experience podcast, where we explore healing, wellness, and the journey of becoming more conscious humans. Today's episode is a little different, and it's one we've been looking forward to.
For a long time on this podcast, we focus primarily on the science and benefits of functional mushrooms, which we love, and that is never going away. But the truth is, the heart of this show has always been something bigger than just mushrooms. It's about the human experience of health, the messy parts, the routines, the habits, the philosophies, and the things that we are learning in real time as we navigate life, wellness, and conscious business right alongside you.
Yeah, and we realized that the most powerful conversations aren't always the perfectly structured ones. Sometimes the most meaningful stuff comes from honest, behind the scenes conversation about how people actually live. So that's what today is, one of our unhinged episodes where we loosen the structure a little, step outside the usual format, and share more of the real human side of health and the experiences that shape us.
Because healing doesn't just come from information. It comes from connection, from storytelling, from learning through each other's experiences.
So settle in, fungi friends. There's a mushroom for every moment, including this one. Now let's dive in.
Welcome back to the Eversio Experience podcast. Brandy and I have been looking forward to this conversation for quite a while. Mike Prince and Brandy's husband, Craig, who's the co-founder of Eversio Wellness, have a real friendship. Craig was actually on Mike's podcast years ago and attended one of Mike's men's retreats that he continues to rave about, and so does Brandy, which we'll get into in this episode. So this is not a random guest. This feels like having a friend of the family over, so to speak. The question sitting at the center of today's episode is one that I hear in different versions from patients all of the time. And it's, how do you know whether the life you are living is one that you actually chose, or whether you just got very good at building the one that was expected of you? And Mike Prince has lived that question from the inside. He was a high-performing athlete, the corporate leader, the man with the family and the career and the house. And at the peak of it, he felt empty. A Lyme disease diagnosis stripped everything that he thought defined him. What he built in that stillness is what he now helps other people find. He calls it conscious creation, and he is the founder of the Conscious Man Project. And we're going to talk about what that means for men and why it matters enormously for the women in their lives too. So Mike, welcome to the Eversio Experience podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here. You just gave me chills like 3 times in describing that. So thank you. It's already feeling so aligned.
Amazing. Dr. Des, you gave me goosebumps too, because I'm remembering back to not just the day that Craig decided to do the retreat with you, but how you sent him back to me. So much gratitude. I think I might have reached out to you actually on Instagram or something to just say thank you for sending this upgraded husband back to me after that retreat. So yeah, I hope we do get into it. I'm excited for it today. So
Thank
glad.
you for sharing that. I literally shared a post yesterday from a wife, text from a wife during one of our retreats that was along the same lines. And this is where, not to get into the retreats, but, men sit there and think, I don't know if my wife will let me. And they don't even bring the topic up. And I'm like, gentlemen, trust me. He's going to say yes. And if I have to get on a phone call, yes, there's always that yes. So appreciate you for being that supportive partner, and whoever else is listening, to give your man that yes for work like this.
Yeah. Let's get into it. And I know, Dr. Des has, this other perspective. Dr. Des is a little younger than us, Mike. She is about to be married. I can say that now. We're out about it just in a couple of months here, and is, I think, going to be the grateful recipient of someone who is benefiting from kind of the work that you've put out, and Desiree working with Craig, who has been a product of some of the things that have come along through consciousness. It's a whole other generation, the millennials coming up. And this conversation around what it means to be a man, what it means to be a woman, what it means to be feminine or masculine. And there's so much noise. Yeah. And that's what this episode is really about for me. It's like, let's break through all of the stuff you don't need to listen to out there that's just causing hate and separation. And I love that that's what this conversation is for our audience. Our audience is mostly women out there. You girls listening, don't stop listening now, because we've got a handsome dude. This is a chance to hear how we're not that different. So I'm excited. Let's go.
Yeah, Mike, you used the phrase conscious creator to describe both yourself and the people that you are working with. Most of us are building something with our lives every single day, but what makes a creator unconscious? And when did you realize that you had been one?
Amazing question. And what comes to mind for me off the top is not asking questions, really just going through the motions in our life, going to work, paying our bills, when we feel pain, taking the medication, listening to authority figures and not asking questions. And for me, I had done that the majority of my life. I drank. I love to entertain myself. I was an athlete for years. I lived this very fast paced life just to feel something inside. I was always looking outside to feel something in here. And I got to a point where I knew this couldn't be it. I had done all the things I was told to do by society. I had made the money. I had a great job similar to my father had. I had, bought our first home, had my second baby, been married, and yet I did not feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
And so really that was the pivotal moment in my life where I said, okay, I don't know where to look, but I know sitting at that bar stool, having surface level conversations is not it anymore.
So, I mean, you're describing most of the men in my life. And I think so many people get confused between functioning and thriving.
Man.
And there just isn't it's not in our curriculum, as you know, we're not teaching that in school. And we've normalized surviving so
Yep.
beautifully. And yeah, we know how that ends up. So that opening of your eyes, that awareness, and that you said in the beginning, asking the question, yeah,
Mhm.
how do we get more people to ask the question? And I think you're going to tell us.
Yeah, it's having discussions like these. It
Yeah.
really is. It's inviting men in and it's helping men be vulnerable and realize that vulnerability is actually courage.
Yeah.
And creating the spaces for them to do that in a safe manner without being judged is truly it. And the more we have these conversations, the more they can be brought to larger forums like this to be shared. And even if one man hears it, he says, wow, you were just inside my head. That's exactly how I feel in this moment. What have you done? And
Yeah.
the olive branch is extended and then a journey unfolds. That's beautiful. But a man has to be ready to hear that as well,
Yeah.
just like anyone else.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, before we get to the part where you found the path through, tell us actually what it felt like to be in it. You had the career, the family, the external markers, like you mentioned. What was that internal reality that you were not saying out loud?
The internal reality was it was chasing constantly. It was an unease in my body that I was never satisfied and I couldn't pinpoint it. And so things like drinking or validation in achieving were always my path. I knew how to do it and I could do it well. I got really good in sales and being good in a crowd, but it generally took a drink or two. And so for me in the body though, it was unease. I just didn't feel comfortable. I didn't feel safe. And looking back, being in it, I would never consider myself an insecure person. Looking back, oh my goodness, it's so obvious how insecure I was and I didn't love myself. And so the body was just constantly looking for that and I was chasing it.
Yeah. How many people? I mean, I've known you for trying to think a few years now, and I would not have known that about you. Like the reason that Craig said yes to that retreat, going along on a retreat with you, is because you were somebody that he felt had the confidence, had this same, you could start at the same level in a conversation because that is how things appear. And then when I was so excited for him to go, I did my research. When I looked back, I can't see anything of you in public where I don't see the same guy I'm looking at right now. And it shows you the amount of masking that's going on
Yeah.
for people. And then, when you say the body, we hear it all the time. The body keeps the score and you can't hide it for long before it starts to scream at you. And, for so many people, that is some kind of burnout, some kind of nervous system dysregulation. For me, it showed up as inflammation and we're all so different. It's going to show up if you keep
Body will manifest.
locking it down. Yes.
Yeah, totally. In your coaching work with men, you sit with people who are clearly struggling before they even say a word about it. What is the thing they almost never name in a first session that you can
Mm.
see very plainly on them?
It's fear all day
So
long.
simple. Yeah.
It's fear. It's fear of judgment. It's fear of further disconnection from loved ones if they bring forward the truth. It's fear of themselves and the stories they haven't said or what they haven't spoken out loud. And so really that's why the safe space is sacred,
Yeah.
because it gives them that opportunity to say that first thing out loud, or in experiences like the retreat, to hear another man say it.
Yes.
And then
The
you have
permission slip.
permission. That's it. But it really is fear. There's so much fear there and so much weight held by every man until there's not. And
Yeah.
it just is, as Brandy said, there's masks worn, there's performance, and that carries a weight, a very heavy one.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the beginning, I think, of every healing journey. Like so much of what your work is, and we look and people think it's the mind. People think it's the thoughts, and it's so true that the beginning is there. But fear is an emotion, it's a feeling, it's the language of the body. And there's stuff going on ahead of that before we get to the fear. There's all the chatter, right? We call it the roommate going on ahead that leads us to sitting in those emotions. And then that in the body is what's leading people to require some type of a healing journey that gets them to come to find something else. It always seems to start the moment someone becomes unwilling to keep lying to themselves that they're not afraid is the beginning of the healing journey. And I think you nailed it when you said fear. We are big believers. Dr. Des and I often remind ourselves there's only really two ways to look at anything, through the lens of love or through the lens of fear. And if
Absolutely.
I'd love, like, okay, 8 billion humans out there. Could we just do a quick survey? What are you looking through today? And I'm so curious, can we tip the scale? Because I know it's more fear than love. And people like, why are we this way? It's just that simple, just what
Yeah.
you said there.
When you
And
boil
if you
it down.
yeah, one man at a time, one woman at a time. So yeah, okay, I'm so hopeful for where we're going with that when we can recognize, when we can get people to just ask themselves right now, is this you? Are you that across the table being coached and ask that question? And would you be able to say it's fear? And then where do you go? Yeah, powerful.
Yeah. From what you've seen in your clients, Mike, and also lived yourself, what does running on the wrong life actually do to a man's body over time? Not his mood, not his relationships, like his physical health.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know the mood in relationships, the frustration, the anger, all of those reactions. But what does it do to the body? I have lived it. And this question is really deep right now, in fact, because I'm still exploring it. And when I hit the crux of just before I met Brandy and Craig, and I held that first retreat, I was in a corporate career, which I have put my notice in finally, in fact. So I'm going to get there. The end of this month, I am flying. When that was happening, I was in the thick of it. There was a lot of stress. Plus, I was going through Lyme disease. Plus, it was that lovely time called the pandemic that many years ago. So I had pressures on me like I have never had in my life, I can safely say. And so what happens in the body is illness. What happens in the body is breakdown. It's chronic and it's dis-ease. And the reason I say I'm exploring it today is because there was a time where I believed Lyme was just physiological. And I'm in the crux right now that I can tell you, since I've made this decision and put in my notice in corporate after all this time, wow, has my energy changed?
Yeah.
I don't feel this disease in my body right now. And yes, I'm doing a few different things, but I know there's an attachment there as well. There's a layer, that something I was holding on to, of stories I had to break down, of value that I put on myself, of how I show up in there in my life. And so what happens in anyone's body is breakdown. Because when you're not in alignment with your truth and what you know is for you, you're holding back and you keep packing it down, and that weight gets heavier and the masks are harder to take off. But when you break it apart slowly, my gosh, this world unfolds like a fairy tale. And it sounds cheesy, I understand that, but opportunities appear and things come in front of you to challenge you as well, to make decisions, to say, is that really what you want? Are you really aligned with that path? And what I've witnessed in the last month is exactly that. And this is 5 years after that, 6 years after that. So I'm not perfect. this has taken me a long time to navigate and to look deeply within self. But I can say with certainty in all the men I've worked with that there's always something being held on to, and eventually it manifests in dis-ease within the body.
Yeah. I'm so happy for you right now. Just hearing you speak it, it reminds me, and I had forgotten Lyme disease as part of your story, is kind of how you ended up staying connected to us because you gave chaga a chance. After you met us, that was your journey with like, hey, there's some research around Lyme disease and chaga, and I don't know how much people know about Lyme disease, and it's not an episode about that, but it does require you to really be intentional with antioxidants in your body because of the inflammation that you could experience, the immune system imbalance. All of this attempt to reduce oxidative stress because of a chronic infection in any way. Chaga was the mushroom that you said, I'm going to give this a try because chaga is so known to be this incredible antioxidant along the way. And we have to support the physical body, yes. But I love what I heard you say because so similar where I was. I knew I was healed. I knew I was healed physically long before, like years before my body caught up. And I would say, like, I know I'm healed. I've done the work. I've done the internal work. I've seen it in my mind. I'm doing all of the things, but my body's catching up. And I gave myself that permission to say it's not going to happen in a day. I'm healed and my body's catching up because it's a meat sack. It's made from matter and it takes time. And watching you do that work, but come to the moment right now where you're like, maybe this was the last thing to let go of, to actually let your body catch up. I feel like I'm seeing it in real time and it's so beautiful that maybe your relationship with chaga is going to take a little break because you're not going to need it anymore. You're going to be able to move on and explore other mushrooms
100%.
for other things.
Let's not pretend I haven't all of them, including my whole family.
So you're the one that's not afraid to talk about your kids and mushrooms. We love that.
Oh my gosh, absolutely not. They've been in their cereal. I've made chocolate milks. Now one of my boys, he just takes the pill. He takes
really?
a full therapeutic dose of one, and it's beautiful. Dad's taking his vitamins. He gets excited about it. And we've had a chat about it. He knows exactly why. I said, you know how powerful these are. And your brain is like daddy's. It needs to slow down and focus. So this is, going to help you do that, just like I take it every day. And he loves it. He gets excited about it. And I can tell you we've seen nothing but amazing things. So
awesome. I love it. Okay. I didn't mean to digress into mushroom land. It just reminded me of that you're never just on an emotional journey. It's never just about the mind, the body and mind are so connected. We know that. But I love that you're somebody who has been very open about the way it's showed up in your body and that you didn't, see results in a second. It's been this ongoing thing. And then here you are at what could be very, very close to the end of your relationship with Lyme. We love you, Lyme, but you can go now.
Great teacher. I say now my greatest gift, but
yes,
it's served its purpose.
Yeah. Part of the evolution. Brandy had mentioned, a lot of people who are listening are women, and a lot of them listening right now probably recognize the man that you were describing. There's probably some man in their life, whether it's a partner, a brother, a friend, father, and they love him and they're trying to help. What are they doing that they believe is helping, but is actually making it harder for him to find his way there?
Very powerful question. And, I'm glad you said they don't know they're doing because they mean well. But what comes to mind for me on this is when their man is stressed, when he is grinding and working and pushing to provide for the family in a way that he thinks is the way, which is finances. Congratulating him and patting his back and telling me he's doing a great job is not the way. It's not the way. We need to ask questions. We need to ask him, are you sure this is what you want to be doing? And give him permission and safe space and support to say, if you want to transition to something else, I'm here for you. Because men feel the weight when they're congratulated and said, babe, thank you for supporting this family. Because they're not going to speak it. But in here, they know it's not aligned with what they want to do, but they're sacrificing everything and they think it's honorable. And to some degree it is, but to provide for the family. But at the end of the day, they're sacrificing presence, they're sacrificing future, they're sacrificing eventually their relationship, because you're going to lose that man because he's losing himself, versus allowing space for a transition or whatever is for him. And maybe finances get squeezed for a little while. Don't create that story. But on the other side of it is such a beautiful life where there's that man is now full of joy. He's full of patience. He's full of presence. He's got purpose. And when a man is full of purpose, his family is at the core of that, and he becomes a true leader. And so that is what I would encourage to do, is ask those questions.
Yeah. What I hear you saying is, I so have lived exactly what every woman out there, if there is a partner in your life that has been role playing this, what we think it means to be masculine thing, has experienced what you just said. And I think we're so ready for this balance to come back. And I think that's what I hear you describing. Like when you just described the qualities of what we kind of are raised to expect from men, what we're missing is that we are all a balance of masculine and feminine. And when we get out of balance as women too, so many women in our community are living in this really heavy masculine energy for themselves, where they're experiencing the same thing, this constant productivity and this need for control. And it's the achievement and the speed. I'm working with a few women right now who have this constant conversation about time. You know who I'm talking about, listening. This speed, this performance that's expected. And those are very masculine qualities. And men think that's it. But what we have come to understand as women, and I hope out there listening, is that there's this intuition and this respect for rest and presence and creativity and connection that is the divine feminine that men need in order to feel balanced. They're not going to feel in alignment if they don't find that within themselves too. But again, we don't honor that. We don't teach that it's both. And you can have both, and it's going to still be, I'm going to use the word attractive, right? You both know my husband. All of you out there, you know, you see what you see. And, you know, he's a big guy and he comes across as very productive. And there's this performance quality there. But what he learned in working with you, Mike, and I think he was already searching for something, and you just, you know, divine timing and synchronicity was this permission slip to look at intuition, to accept that rest is this necessary thing, to talk about the present moment and honoring coming to it and bringing more of it intentionally into life. And what I got back was somebody that was starting to bring some femininity back in. And you'll look at him and go, like, there's nothing feminine about that dude. It just makes him so much more whole. And so I love that could be it. That could be it for so many men, is the like, stop thinking you have to just be this divine masculine and that's it.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up, because this is where we're at right now, right? It really is such a healing between masculine and feminine and understanding one another. Most masculine don't know what masculine means. Most feminine don't know what feminine means. And the more, you know, we understand our bodies, we understand our hormones and our emotions and that of our partners, then there's a coming together. And then there's moments that, you know, we're both leaning into masculine and feminine, as you said, and giving space for one another to do so as well. And that's the dance. It's not competition, but we've gotten in competition over the past however many years. And that is what we need to heal.
Yeah, we do. We need to heal it. It's not like we're so much better together. We clearly were meant to be together. Mike just had his third baby. He did not birth the child. He's not a seahorse. However, 3 boys in your house with you. So mama and 4 men around. And I love that. Your wife, you know, she's a boy mama, and you are raising these men to be this divine masculine energy that we need, that we crave. I crave that. I mean, I think you have a viral reel on Instagram right now. Creating a big stink in the world. Everyone's going to go look for it. We'll link Mike's social media down below, but you've shared very openly something that I thought was so beautiful. And the world went crazy. You know, it's sad that it's viral because it creates conflict, and that you've just handled it so beautifully. But it's this idea that, you know, women shouldn't need a man around in order to feel safe. Well, I'm sorry. I love that about having a dad and a son and a husband around, that I am this, there's a strength there that makes me feel safe instead of small.
You're safe to soften.
Yes.
And that
And
when you
why do we?
soften, that is what men crave. But we don't get that unless we're able to make you feel safe.
Mm,
And that's where, it was this reel that you mentioned has been therapy for me. Just going through and sad and happy, because it's reading through those comments and seeing how much of that is not there on both sides. There's such a
yeah.
misunderstanding and misalignment. So this is the conversation that we need to get wide and far next, because it's so important. Because again, that competition, it's like, I just want more depth to my relationship. I want my wife to open up to me, or I want my husband to open up to me.
Yeah.
But we're not doing the things appropriately to support one another because we don't know. The knowledge isn't there. So this isn't a blame game.
Yeah.
It's an information and education game, which we all have to be on the mission to share and do that open-heartedly, to lead in a loving way.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes we need like you're saying, the raw materials to start building it. And sometimes it's a reel on Instagram that starts the conversation we need to go down. So yeah, I see what you're doing out there with. I can't wait to see your response. I'm waiting every day. I'm like, let's go. Let's be brave and let's go have more of those. And I hope you keep going
Absolutely.
viral, because it's just gonna get better when we bring it up, right? We've got to see it. We all got to feel it, so that we can just let that go and get on with the greatness that's ahead when we learn that together, and wholeness and that balance in each of us is where the good stuff's going to happen. So, okay,
100%.
I don't mean to digress to Instagram. I just thought.
No, but
Yeah.
I think it comes full circle too, because the first question was, what about these people who are unconscious? They're unconsciously creating their life, and it's about asking questions and just, floating something out there and contemplating it and asking a question. That's living your truth and practicing what you preach. It's asking questions.
Yep.
Does this align with me? Is this how it's supposed to be? What can we do to improve this? I think in society a lot right now, there's a lot of overcorrection of a lot of things. And this is one of them. Overcorrection. Yeah.
Why do we think that way? Like, I watch this and I'm triggered by it. Why? Like, instead of being the guy who has to comment oh my gosh, you read something, I think, I want to come to your house and hug you.
Right?
What is it? Why does that trigger you? It's holding up a mirror for something. Like, if something bothers you, ask yourself, why does that bother me? And let it be something that guides you to something in you, right? The best way, the easiest way to change the world, if that's what you're trying to do with the nasty Instagram comment, it's not it. The best way is to figure out what needs, the part of the world that lives inside you that needs to be healed, and heal that.
Well, and
because trying to fix the guy posting with great intent isn't helping the world heal.
Yeah, and we go back to that fear, because if you read any of those darker comments, and I check their profiles, there's no picture, there's no posts, there's it's so they're leveraging that as a medium to be able to do that without even putting a name of face behind it. That says it all.
Yeah,
But
hide
I love
behind
how you frame
the.
that. Yeah. But it's so important when we have those triggers to ask, well, why does this bother me? Just that small moment of interruption is everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you rejecting within yourself that somebody else is bringing forth for you to see and deal with? What an opportunity.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Okay. Here's a question that I want to put to you on behalf of our listeners. A lot of high achieving women have spent years building a life around everyone else's needs. You ask men whether the life they built is actually theirs. What do you think happens when a woman asks herself the same question?
Very good question. I think a similar but a different process. And the first thing that comes to mind for me here is not women in general, but moms. Because when I think of what moms go through, and I'm not one, I have never been in that body, and I never have had the honor to go through that process in the complete, I say honor, but there's all sorts of emotions along with that. I think as well as trying to be in the high achieving world, as well as trying to be everything to these humans you've brought into this world, the whole identity changes. And so, my gosh, it's like, I just couldn't fathom how hard that would be to now you have expectations of partner, you have expectations of the world that you're in, whatever you're building. And to be a super mom, to be the overall nurturer to those humans. So I think I went off on a tangent there a little bit, but it's hard to
It's
even compare. It's just completely different. And yeah,
and they
go ahead,
need the
Brandy.
balance. They need that. I mean, you're describing old me, who is, again, somebody that it wasn't Lyme disease for me, but an autoimmune condition. And it's just going to show up different depending on your genetics. I was pushing the
Mhm.
buttons of my genes by doing exactly what you said, trying to be all the things all the time to everyone. And I still want that today. I still like that, the want, the craving to do it, I think is very human of us, and it's not gone from me. I have to be so intentional
Yes.
with my thoughts, especially when I wake up in the morning. Like, what mom does not wake up in the morning worrying about her kids and then worrying about herself next? Right. Like,
Mhm.
and I have to catch that, like, literally stop it. And then, like, I have to take care of myself first if I want to be able to be the mom I want to be, the wife I want to be, the friend I want to be, the daughter I want to be, all of those things. I better take care of this because I'm no use to any of those people. It took me years, took Dr. Desiree like banging on me to say, stop it. You've got to find that. And when I realized I've got this man in my life, I've got this strength so that I can feel safe, so that I can, like, I had all the pieces and I was ignoring it, trying to be so masculine in my own energy by organizing everything
Do,
and
do,
being
do.
that, right?
Mhm.
And that's all it was. And I'm a believer that all disease, I don't care what name you want to give it in the textbook, it's all just imbalance. It's coming from an imbalance. And if you have, well, no, mine's genetic. It's all genetic. It's, are you pushing the buttons of the gene through your imbalance? And for, like you were just describing, those women, especially the moms that are trying to do it all, divine feminine is intuitive wisdom. It is saying, can I just allow my intuition to be enough? That's when it
Mhm.
really started to calm for me, is the trust in myself, that the more intuitive I could become, the more I could listen, the more I could trust that whatever I said, whatever I did, the hug is enough.
Mhm.
I don't have to solve it all. The more creative I allowed myself to be, the more me I felt, and that became an example for those in my life. The more I felt deeply and allowed myself to cry at the dumb things, the better it felt for me. And the more I gave permission to the people, and I have a son and a daughter. So I feel like our whole house has been this balancing of, what's healthy,
Yeah.
right? What is this healthy? So I think that all you're saying is, hey girls, it's okay to be the energy that nurtures growth and connection and healing in your life and truth, and flow instead of force,
Mhm.
so that you can be the other yin of the yang.
100%. And what just brought up for me is communication, because trust
Mm,
is such a huge piece between the
yeah.
masculine and feminine. And listen, I'm going
Mhm.
to throw myself under the bus here, because in my own journey, it was little things. I realized years later that being the chill guy and never giving opinions was not valuable. I thought
Mm.
I was just, babe, whatever you want, and that was a good thing. But she's asking for your opinion. Give your opinion, because otherwise you're keeping that load on her mind.
Yes.
Or me forgetting something at the store was a big deal because it broke trust. And little by little, or me saying I could do something like a project around the house and it goes incomplete, is breaking trust.
Yes.
And so that in my own journey has been massive. And speaking to men and women here, communicate effectively there, because say what it is that you want, where you can be helped. And then the man has to also have boundaries to say, I can't, no,
Yep.
because otherwise he's people pleasing, and that pattern unfolds, and then he loses himself.
Yeah. Yeah. It becomes the capacity question. Even if it's, I
Mm,
can't, maybe it's, I can't right now, but let's look at our calendar this year together and see when it
totally.
fits.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
there's nothing like doing a project together
Mm,
to build the trust and to be able to look back at your accomplishments and celebrate that.
I
It
know
it
that it was
does
birthed from
take,
both of you. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Eversio.
Yeah, it's an example. There you go.
Okay, I'm wondering if, there's a woman listening to this, recognizing her partner and what you've described, and maybe he's not ready for coaching or breath work or any of that. What is one thing that she can do or stop doing today that creates more space for him to find his own way there?
Hmm.
I really think it's It's judgment. It's just such a huge one, even when it's unspoken in one another. And when a man feels judged, he retracts. He doesn't have the safety to express himself. Again, that fear comes in of, will I feel weak if I do share how I'm actually feeling? And to not have judgment is love, right? Like, I love how these just come full circle. It's fear and
Yep.
love. And it really is. It's creating a safe space for openness on stress, on what's not aligned, on helping him speak openly when they're together. Because if he doesn't have that, what I call a third space, that's not, not home and not work, then it's really challenging because he's only got that one face at home and one at work. And a third space offers just to take that armor off and be fully you and be able to talk about those spaces. So really it's love. And I know, again, it comes back to these big all encompassing words, but what kind of love and support can you give the man to have a safe space to speak? And because it's always, what do we want in a relationship? We have to give it as well.
Hey everyone, I just wanted to take a moment to talk about a pattern that I see again and again in my practice, and I've even lived it myself. It's the people who are doing everything right, eating well, sleeping as best they can, moving their bodies, managing their stress, and still feeling like they're running at 80%. The immunity that catches everything going around, the nervous system that never fully resets, the energy that is there but not quite where it used to be, the fog that lifts eventually but not as fast as it should. What I've found both clinically and personally is that what's often missing is whole body foundational support, not one thing targeted at one symptom, a comprehensive daily ritual that addresses the terrain.
And that is what the 4 mushroom blend does. This is the product that I reach for when life is a lot. And honestly, when is it not? It's the reishi, the lion's mane, maitake, and shiitake, 4 of the most powerful functional mushrooms in the world, in just a single half teaspoon of extract powder. It's so simple. Add it to your coffee, your smoothie. I put it in my matcha. It can be part of your morning ritual, or you can use it in the evening, and done. It just disappears. I use my electric mushroom mixer to blend it in there, and you barely taste it. And what you're getting in that half teaspoon is 9,750 milligrams quantity crude equivalent of mushroom intelligence with 40% verified beta-glucans. And that number really does matter. Beta-glucans are how you verify that a mushroom supplement is actually able to do something. That 40% is a level that most brands in this category cannot match.
And the reishi is so helpful to be supportive of your stress response and your sleep. The lion's mane supporting cognitive clarity and nerve health, the maitake supporting immune function and metabolic balance, and the shiitake adding antioxidant and immune depth. Together, they work the way your body actually works, as a system, not one symptom, one product, one ritual, comprehensive support.
Yeah, this is the blend that I would recommend to someone who doesn't know where to start. And it's the one that I'd recommend to someone who already has a protocol and then wants to add a foundation underneath everything else. So head on over to eversiowellness.com, use code podcast15 at checkout for 15% off. And that's for anyone in our community, anytime, any order.
Consistency is where the results live. This is the ritual that makes consistency easy. Okay, I want you to walk us through what a consciously designed day looks like in practice for someone who is not a monk, not the philosophy. What do you do on a Tuesday?
You know what? This is a good question because I've really shifted this in the last little while. I used to think a consciously designed day had to have all of the things. Right. I truly, reflecting back, look and think, I'm like, I kind of took some of the hustle mentality and I just found spiritual things and I brought it right into here, because it used to be wake up in the morning and I would do an acronym called SAVERS from the book, The Miracle Morning. And it's silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing. I would make sure I fit all those in for a beautiful start to a day. And now I've stopped going to the gym in the morning even. And it's just the season that I'm in. To me, a consciously designed day is knowing what's good for me and feeling intuitively and moving with it. So yes, I have my magic potion water when I wake up in the morning with salt and with a lemon squeeze. And I take time and I do some stretches. I have a 5-minute stretch routine. And then I generally do some quick breathwork and meditation. But the second I hear noises from above, my little guy awake. I mix my morning warm drink and I go up and I sit with my wife and my little guy because we have some great chats and
Aw.
get some giggles with him. And that nervous system regulation, exercise, and joy and love just feeds me
Mm.
so much more right now than my exercise. And I get my exercise later in the day,
Yeah.
but it sends me into breakfast with my kids to drop them off at school, have some great conscious conversations on the way. We always talk about what integrity means and who they're going to be today for
Wow.
years now. And when I give them big squeezes and they're off, then I'm here, then I'm at my desk and I get the opportunity to share some wisdom and hear people's challenges and help them design their conscious day and lives. And then, yeah, midday, I take breaks. I go put my feet on the earth. I sit in the sun. If it's sunny outside, I'm in trouble from a productivity perspective.
I hear
I'm the
you.
hippie on this. Now that we're on this property, it's like I am shirts off and throwing it back on quickly to jump on camera again, whatever I'm
Yeah.
doing. But then it's usually jujitsu in the evenings, which I assist
Mm.
coach my boys. I make dinner almost every evening. We sit together and we talk about what made us happy today and what could we have done differently today is our routine. So even at their young ages, it gives them an opportunity to tap in and reflect on their day. And oh my gosh, like the things they come up with are incredible
You could
in
write a
terms of,
book.
oh, but they're like their actual outbursts and things that when they got in trouble or they are reflecting. So it's so beautiful. So that truly is, a day for me today when I have this family that I do and I'm as blessed as I am. And of course there's hours of work in there. And it's not all peaches and sunshine. There's stressful moments still. I just have the tools now to mitigate that and
Yes.
to really know what's important and what's not. When to shut the phone off and when I need to do 5 minutes of breath work before I go into my home
Yeah.
to shift my energy. All of those really are what create those great days for me.
Amazing. I see
Mm.
there's so many things in there that you're saying is that you're evolving. You're not doing what you did yesterday. You're not doing what you did last
Mhm.
year because you are someone who is evolving all of the time and probably never will stop. And that's what we've watched over these years. And that's why Craig continues. Craig, with a good friend, is coming to one of your retreats at the end of the month
Yes.
while
So
Dr. Des and
excited.
I are having a girls' weekend. So thank you. But that is such an important thing, I think, for us to realize is that you're never going to be there. Someone is looking for the destination. It doesn't exist. The destination is the realization that you have to be in this flexible state where you value growth and you value change and you value transformation. And that what you said about there's going to be stress and thank goodness for it because you need the challenge to change.
Yep.
Without any challenge, you would never have a reason to change. So it's like, thank you for this,
Absolutely.
whatever storm has hit, because that challenge was the catalyst for the change that I maybe didn't even know that I needed. And you bring it up. And for you, it's, you got a 6-month-old baby at home and two other boys, and it's changed you and what you're
Yeah.
doing there. And the gym is always going to be there. But
Yeah.
those babies are never going to be babies again. Like it's such a short time. And I love that you value it and you're willing to not live in a rigidity that causes you to miss out on the beauty of growth and transformation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Beautifully said.
Wow, I love the blueprint. And I want to hear everything those boys are saying because yeah, we had an 8-year-old on our podcast here on April
Amazing.
Fools because and that podcast, we've had more comments. People still, yesterday, someone said to me, I heard her voice in my head, like this wisdom
Mhm.
coming out of a child's mouth because they just see the world bigger than we do,
Completely
right?
differently.
And
Mhm.
with my kids, we called it highs and lows before bed. What was your high today? What was your low today? It's simple. And I mean, I tried to carry that on as long as I could. Now they're teenagers. But if we were all doing that with our kids and letting them tell us
Yep.
what a high is to them is not what it would be to me. And if they can find the low, then they've recognized it and then give them the opportunity to say, what would you do different? Adults aren't doing that. If we could raise kids that are doing it, again, that's how we change the world. That's how we do it. I love it. Okay, Mike, we've kept you so long, but I can't let you go without a lightning round because that's our favorite thing to
Love
put
it.
people
Bring
on
it
the
on.
spot and make them think fast. So I'm going to fire some questions at you and yeah, just whatever comes to mind. So
Okay.
tell us the biggest lie high achievers tell themselves about what they are building.
That it's important.
Love it.
That
The
their
one
why is
thing,
aligned because
that's
generally
it.
it's not.
Yeah. Say it again.
That their why is aligned, because generally it's not.
Yeah. And that's why you got to go to the retreat sometimes. Give yourself, you're not maybe going to find it when you're living in the grind. You got to slow down to see what will come up. Okay. The one thing you had to give up to become the version of yourself that you are proud of.
Ooh, it's got to be ego.
Ooh. Ooh.
Good one.
That's
That
a
was
whole other
that was
podcast.
that was streaming for a time. That's it. We'll leave it at that, because we could go deep on that one.
That's part 2.
Part 2, ego. Okay, something your male clients resist at first and then cannot stop talking about.
That's breathwork deep dive sessions, because it's very intimidating that we're going to breathe for an hour, but what comes through for them and how they feel afterwards is always the highlight. Yeah.
The surprise. Okay. And for Craig, it was. He cannot resist. When we say, hey, we're doing breathwork, you want to join? It's always yes. He's always going to get something. Okay. What you want your 3 boys to understand about being a man that you did not learn until much later.
Oh my gosh, I can't even speak this. Hold on a minute. That is to live authentically from their age now, because as a kid especially, it's so hard to be you. There's bullies, there's judgment, there's all of it. And we all lived through that. And it took me so long to just be me, be free, be happy who I am, and love myself. And I wish nothing more for them and all the kids in this world to have that now, because it's how we can step into what is for us and who we are and create more light in this world.
Yeah. So don't wait. Don't wait. Yeah. If you're a mom of a son, don't wait. Okay. Finish this sentence for us, Mike. The world does not need more men who perform strength. It needs men who
love. We knew it had to circle back here, but
It always comes
love,
back to
right? It's that courageous piece that means to love is to love yourself, is to be vulnerable, and to love everybody around you, your neighbor, and stop this divisiveness, right? So love is always it. And that's the only word I can put in there.
I love it. It just the whole all of the wisdom you shared, the wholeness. That wholeness begins when we stop treating masculine and feminine as opposites to conquer, and we start to recognize them as these forces that we all have. We're meant to work with them together. And that masculine you're describing, it's giving direction so that the feminine can give this depth. And if we don't have the balance, we're going to burn out. We're going to burn out performing, or we're going to disappear pleasing. And that it doesn't have to be that way. Mike, thank you so much. I know there's girls out there. I know there are our regular listeners going, who is this guy? And why haven't we talked about him more before? And they're going to want to find you. Can you tell our audience how they can find out more, how they can connect with you, how they can find out what you're doing next? Because this retreat sold out, but I know there's probably going to be more in the future.
Yes. Thank you so much. First and foremost, like, I was so excited to connect with this conversation, and time is our greatest asset. And for you guys to lend me some of yours is a blessing and appreciated. I'm most active on Instagram. So it's at the Conscious Creator Coach. And then, or my website, there's lots of info on there always. And that's just www.consciouscreator.world. And there are a couple spots left in this retreat. But the doors are closing pretty soon.
Okay, but this episode's coming out on the day, and I love a synchronicity, Mike.
Whoa, yes.
So those of you that are listening to the episode, today's the day of the retreat. So unless you're, get it, it could happen. You could be that person who arrives the evening of.
There will be more.
But there will be more. And Mike, we will definitely have to have you back again, because I'm so excited to see the journey of your boys, for one. Like, what happens when we start raising our boys differently than we might have in the past, given that we didn't have the raw materials. We didn't have the knowledge then, maybe, that we do have so much access to now. So we will link those addresses that you gave up below. If nothing else, go watch the reel that we talked about, because I'm so curious. And then tell us what you think. Leave us a comment. You read some of those things people are saying, and then ask yourself. Be honest with yourself. How did it make you feel? What are your thoughts about it? And then, did this conversation change how you might have thought before about it? And as always, it's just a conversation. It's just more information for us to become more love. We're here to love and be loved. And I'm so grateful you're bringing it to the world. So thank you so much for being here and for your time.
Thank you, Mike.
Tons of love.
Tons of love.
And that's a wrap on today's unhinged episode of the Eversio Experience. These conversations sit close to our hearts. Stepping outside the structure and just being honest with you about what we're navigating, what we're learning, what we've gotten wrong, and what we're still figuring out. That's the kind of connection we started this podcast to create.
Yes, and we hope something in today's episode landed for you. And if it did, we hope that you will share it with someone in your life who will get it. That's genuinely how this community continues to grow. One person passing something meaningful on to another. And if you haven't yet left us a rating or review, subscribe to the podcast, or followed us on social media, we would so appreciate that. All of the links are right here in the show notes below. And that just helps us reach more people who need to hear this. And when you're ready to bring functional mushrooms into your daily ritual, you can head on over to eversiowellness.com and use podcast 15 at checkout. And that code will save you 15% on your order. And it's for our whole community, any order, anytime.
Thank you so much for sharing this moment with us, fungi friends. Until next time, be well.